Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is your boy Varun Chopra and today we'll be discussing about the GRE, yes, Graduate Record Examinations. I gave the GRE, I got a score of 325, the individual scores are on the screen, and today we'll be talking about the exam pattern of the GRE because I think before studying for the exam, it is more and much more important to study the exam. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it. So basically GRE has three sections, the first one being AWA, the second one being the verbal section, and the third one being the Quants Section. Basically these are the three kinds of sections that you will come across. To start with, let's talk about the AWA section. AWA section basically consists of two tasks, the first task being the issue writing and the second task being the argument writing. For both the tasks you will be given 30 minutes and it's basically essay writing. In issue writing you will be given an issue, a topic perhaps, and you will have to write either for the motion or against the motion, but there's a catch here. You have to take into account all the points of view in your essay, otherwise it won't be considered as a well-crafted essay, because the people who mark you for your GRE, for the writing part of your GRE, they see how well crafted your essays are rather than how long they are or what kind of words that you use. Of course, using good words, having a good vocabulary would be conducive, but in case you miss out on such things, the structure of the essay would definitely be an added advantage. So coming to the second task, which is argument writing. In argument writing, you'll be basically given a situation wherein which you'll have to oppose, and it could be anything. For example, you're given a situation about a survey being conducted in a city XYZ, and you're given points like a survey was conducted, 90% of the males reported this and 20% of the females reported this, and you basically have to oppose these arguments that have been put in front of you. And trust me, these arguments are very, very compelling, they're very, very convincing, but no matter how convincing they seem, you have to put arguments against it, because that's what you have to do. That's where your brain kicks in, your acumen kicks in. So you could say in such kind of situations like, what is the credibility or authenticity of the survey? We're not aware of that, we're not cognizant about it. And what is the number of men or women that were surveyed? What if only say five people were surveyed and 5 women were surveyed and one of them responded in a particular manner? So that's not a credible survey, right? So in such situations you have to come up with arguments to oppose the motion. And coming to the verbal section, which I think is perhaps the most difficult and challenging section for everyone, may it be someone from an engineering background, a mathematical background, or from a commerce background, or from someone from medical background. For my fellow Asians, perhaps this section seems to be the toughest one. So coming to the kind of questions that you'll come across in the verbal section, there are basically three kinds of questions. To start with, we have the RCs. RCs are basically reading comprehensions, wherein you'll be given passages of different genres, and like I said, you cannot be picky about reading, because here the genre can be anything. It could be history, arts, medicine, anything. So you cannot be picky about reading, and they could be of three lengths: the long passages, which are about 1.5 page length on the screen, the shorter ones, which are about 2 paragraphs, and the medium length ones, which are about, again, 4 to 5 paragraphs. So depending on the kind of passage that you have, you'll have the number of questions associated with it. And the second category of questions that we have are text completion. Now text completion, again, these questions again can be of three types. The first one being single blank, the second one being double blank, and the third one being 3 blank. So basically in 1 blank questions, you'll be given a sentence or 2-3 sentences, a passage perhaps, and there would be 1 blank which you will have to fill with the options that you've been provided. To fill this blank, you'll be given 5 options. Coming to the 2 blank text completion questions, you'll be given 2 blanks in a similar fashion, and you'll have to select 2 answers based on the 3 options given for each blank. And I'll tell you about a catch here after I tell you about the 3 blank questions. So similarly, for 3 blank questions, you'll again have 3 options each for each blank, and you'll have to fill it with the correct one. But the catch is that there is no partial marking. Even if you get 1 option incorrect, you're not marked for the question. Because, for example, think in a 3 blank questions, which are the most trickiest ones in this category. For example, you get 2 options correct and you get the third one incorrect, then you're not marked for the question. And similarly, in the 2 blank questions, if you get one of the 2 options incorrect, you're not marked for the question. Now, coming to the third category of questions, it is sentence equivalence. These were perhaps my favorite ones because I really worked on my vocabulary, so these seemed pretty easy. So basically, you are given a sentence with a blank again, and you have to fill it up with 2 options. These options have to be 2 options out of 6 options, and these options should make the sentence have the same meaning. And these 2 words should either be synonyms or they should have similar meanings. At least they should work in a similar fashion in the given sentence. So if you get these 2 options, and trust me, if you have a good vocabulary, it is a matter of seconds. You'll spot them right through the options. So now, coming to the Quants section, which is perhaps the easiest sections for people like me who come from an engineering background, it's a cakewalk, trust me. So you'll be given 35 minutes to solve 20 questions, which is way more. It'll seem way more than what you had gotten for the verbal section, because 30 minutes for 20 questions in verbal is cruel as compared to 35 minutes for just 20 questions of mathematics or quants. So basically, you will be given 3 kinds of questions here again. To start with, you will have quantity comparison questions, wherein you will be given 2 quantities, quantity A and quantity B, and 4 options, out of which you will have to choose. I know it seems very easy, but these questions, trust me, are the trickiest ones in the quant section. Because, for example, let's give this a try. For example, I ask you, what is greater, A by 4 or 66% of A? And the first thought that came to your mind was 66% of A, of course, because A by 4 is 25% anyway. But I didn't say anything about A. A could be anything. What if A is a negative number? In that case, A by 4 would be greater, right? So in such situations, we mark option D, wherein we are not clear about which choice is the correct one. So the next kind of questions are the single correct options, wherein you'll be given a mathematical problem and you have to solve it for one option that is correct. Then come the multi-correct kind of questions, wherein you have to basically mark multiple options for a given question. For example, again, you could be given 25% of A or A by 4, right? So, but in that case, A will be specified. It's just an example for this category of questions. And the next category of questions is data entry questions, wherein you won't be given any options and you have to write the exact answer that comes out. So these questions are generally easy, but it might seem difficult if you don't know how to solve the problem. Then you don't have any options to get a fluke in. But I would say type something, because there is a very, very, very important reason, which I'll come to at the end of the video, because of which you should not ever, I repeat, ever leave any question unanswered in the GRE. So the next category and the last category of questions in this, it's not basically a category, it's a topic, it's a set of questions, which is data interpretation, wherein you'll be given a set of data and you'll have to answer a question based on that. Now, these kind of questions are generally very time consuming. Even if they're easy, they consume time. So I used to generally solve these after I had solved all of the questions, because you always know that the clock is ticking. Yes, I said that 35 minutes are pretty much for solving 20 quants question, but it depends. It's subjective. What if you get a tougher section? What if you get an easy section and it seems tough to you? So when in that case, I would suggest to solve these DI questions after you've solved all other questions. Now basically, you get one AWA section for which you get 30 minutes for each of your essays, so it's 1 hour, and then you get 5 sections. Now these could be 3 verbal, 2 quants, or 3 quants, 2 verbals, depending upon what is your dummy section. Yes, there's a dummy section. A dummy section is basically a section that is not counted for your scoring. But how do you figure out which is the dummy section? You don't get to choose which one is the dummy section, and you don't know which one is the dummy section even after the exam ends. You don't know about it. Yes, you could make a guess, you could surmise something, but you don't get to know it for sure. So how to solve this problem? I think the only solution to the problem is that you should go about all the questions, all the sections seriously, considering all of them to not be a dummy section, because you never know. There could be times when you got an easier section and you thought you might have scored well, but that turned out to be a dummy section. So well, in that case, you can't help. You can't just do anything about it. So yeah, in my opinion, and again, it's subjective, I think getting 3 verbal sections and 2 quant sections are a bit grueling, but I think it's much better because generally people who want to pursue courses like MS or MS in Business Analytics or MS any STEM related courses, they need a high quant score. So yes, I said quants is easy, but you might get a tougher section, and then the probability of losing marks also increases with the number of questions that you get. So again, getting at least a 165 or 166 or at least a 164 perhaps is imperative to get into a good course and to get into a good university in quants. So you don't have a bigger margin in quants as compared to what you have in verbal. You might even score 155 in verbal, and you might end up into one of the best universities for your course. So I think in that, given all these things and taking all these points into consideration, I think getting 3 verbal sections and 2 quant sections is a much better option than getting 3 quant sections and 2 verbal sections. Now, coming to what I was talking about, I would repeat my statement: never ever leave any question unanswered in the GRE, because if you leave any question unanswered in the GRE, then it creates a void, kind of a void in the system, wherein the system generally thinks that you are not able to answer all the questions in the given set of time, and then it will give you an easier section next. And you, my friend, trust me, will be marked much lower than what you deserve because of that active marking scheme, which I'll come to later on in a separate video. So guys, I hope you liked the video. I hope it was informative. I hope it was helpful to GRE aspirants. And अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छी लगी तो प्लीज़ लाइक करें, बहुत अच्छी लगी तो सब्सक्राइब करें. And I'm still making more videos on topics related to GRE, IELTS and your master's application. So stay tuned to the channel for more updates, and that's all from my side. This is VC signing off.